Scorched earth in college football. Dabo Swinney has taken the approach. Dale, can you fade that down a little bit? Taking the approach of becoming a leader in college football and calling stuff out like he has done with Pete Golding. And now he is calling for a change in the sport that has been much needed for the past couple of years, with tampering and all the illegalities that have taken place and taken advantage of the NCAA. 7:30 a.m., 103.9 FM, Jocks Huntsville. This is the Off the Bench College Football Show. I'm your host, Kelsey. I'm Pop, sitting across for camera from me. Of course, co-host Richie is not present today. He could not get out because of the ice that took place in North Alabama this past night. The snowstorm is active across the country. We caught the southern wind of it. At one point, we thought we were going to get the bulk of it, but it has caught us on the southern tip. So we are being without co-host Richie today, which is okay. I think he's going to join us over the phone in the second hour. The last couple of days, really, college football, we don't have college football, but the offseason has just as much taking place off the field as it does during the season. So we still have some news. Pops, what's going on today?
I think you called it, season 2, episode 1 with the kind of the reset and what you were talking about with Dabo. And I'll keep pushing this question. Did Dabo save college football with his rant of a press conference yesterday and how he was really pointing the fingers at Ole Miss and what they're doing in tampering? And does he become that face? Does he become the Nick Saban?
We've been looking for a character like Nick Saban for the past couple of years. When Saban kind of took his back, he kind of took a back seat on calling stuff out, and which kind of held people accountable during the time when he was doing that. And now we just haven't had that face for the last couple of years. We expected Kirby Smart, maybe a Dan Lanning to step up, Ryan Day, some pivotal coach in college football today to do that, but he didn't do that. Nobody did. So for Dabo being the coach that steps up, if he wants to be that voice, he's got to take control and he's got to take charge. His message did kind of resonate with a lot of the crowd for what has been happening and what the issue has been in our sport. And it couldn't have come at a better time. This is a time where we need this kind of things to happen with head coaches. Because if it doesn't, we're just going to keep getting it. Guys, if you want to get in on the conversation this morning, you can go to our YouTube and hit us up in the comment box at Off the Bench CFB Show on YouTube. You can watch us live right here up until 11 o'clock. Of course, college basketball happening today. No college football. Done with the season. Still ramping up until we get to August. But that doesn't mean nothing's going on in college football. There's still off the field news. Of course, spring games coming up soon. But we still have a ton of news to talk about today.
One thing that I'll say about the whole Dabo thing was, not only did he call out the players, if you watch that press conference and, what some of the other media markets were showing is about 8 to 9 minutes of it. The press conference actually went on for 26 minutes, right? But not only did he call out his own player, he called out the SEC commissioner. He called out the ACC commissioner. He called out the player's agent. I mean, for me, being as old school like I am, the gray beard, the pops, all those things you want to call me, to hear college football players quote student athletes and agent in the same word still gives me the cringes, but what he did, how he called them out, how he went through the list, like at 4:04 p.m., the player talk to the agent. I mean, he had that entire text chain.
Bringing the receipts.
I'm kind of wondering how he got that. I mean, are these players issued phones by the programs, right? I mean, how does he know when that player received that text message from the agent?
Well, the question to be had there. What Dabo is doing right now is really putting it, everybody on the pedestal and saying, if you're doing this, I'm going to call you out for it because I'm not going to be looking like a joke in front of my own program. And Dabo, to his point, only takes in 2, maybe 3 transfers a year on a high end. He is filling specific spots in his roster spell. He doesn't like using the transfer portal. He wants to recruit high school athletes and build them up organically in his program. Yeah. But to round out the edges, he uses the transfer portal, which a lot of people would say that's how the transfer portal is supposed to be used. So when he gets spurred by the 1 or 2 player that he has gotten from another coach, Pete Golden called out specifically at Ole Miss, that it's going to, rifle some feathers. Dabo's thick skin got let go, and he said, fine, you want to do this? I'm going to call you out for it. We're going to make an example out of you.
You want to play the game? Let's play the game.
That's exactly it.
And I'm gonna call you out publicly. I mean, when you call out somebody on a press conference, I mean, Dabo knew that he was going to get the headlines from every media outlet in the country.
Yeah.
All the social media. So this 24-hour news cycle that we live in now, and Dabo knew that the headlines are all going to be around tampering. And then if you look back, the follow-up headlines in the media. Even Alabama's been accused of tampering now with Georgia Tech. I think there was a receiver that we were looking at. I think it was Georgia Tech. But my point is now you're going to see more of that, whether it be Bama, Auburn, any team in the SEC when they're competing with players the way they are. And I'm really kind of surprised that nobody has called out our favorite boy wonder, Lane Kiffin, yet for everything that he's doing in the portal. And now when the conversations pop up, okay. These players right now, they are in class, quote, quote, okay? They are student athletes right now in the off season. Even Dabo said, yeah, my boy was in class and he's getting text, right, from the agents, from these, the guys that are supposed to be representing them and sending them pictures with $1 million contracts. Oh, never mind. We're going to up that to 2, and so these players are kind of, they're kind of the kids in the middle, so to say, but man, what Dabo did yesterday, in my opinion, it probably saved college football from in general.
Dabo stepped up and really showed some cojones yesterday that honestly we didn't know if Dabo had any more after his last couple of seasons, specifically this last year, his losing season taking place. But for anybody to come out right now and actually try to put pressure on the NCAA to do something about this, he did it the correct way. He did it in a long press conference that was long overweighted for somebody just to call out what is happening, for somebody to come out and say, this isn't right. And it's somebody that needed to do with power, right? So Dabo, congratulations, did the right thing to do. Guys, we got a lot of things working on off the bench for this offseason. So many things have taken place already. Of course, new branding rolled out. You can see it now. New lower third, new intro for YouTube, for you guys on the YouTube side. Make the show look a little prettier going on here. Of course, this is the offseason, season 1, episode 1.
So how many episodes we got? How many episodes we got till we get to like I saw a countdown the other day. It was like 260 days to kickoff or something, or 230 or whatever.
We're going to be rallying around 30, 40 episodes.
Yeah.
So, we're going to get in here, be strong for this offseason coming up. There's so many things that are going to be able to talk about. Of course, we got what ifs coming up on the offseason, taking place, a lot of stories that we can tell what happened throughout the season, maybe the games we went to, some of the stuff that has happened. Of course, pop stories back in the day. I don't know.
I've got a lot of back in the day stories, but I tell you what, one thing that's bothering me with back in the day is not really back in the day. It's what's happening today with Alabama basketball, Kels, and that whole scenario. I don't know if you're ready to get into that right now.
Charles Bediako
Kind of say that name 10 times fast, man.
I don't even know if I've got it correct right now. That was just off the top of my brain. I don't have a phonetic alphabet spelling in front of me. With what's happening with Bediako, and I think we're going to go into it a lot deeper later.
Yeah.
So they've allowed this grown man, not kid, this grown man to come back after playing in the pros. I think he's 23 years of age.
Let me make a point here.
Yeah.
He's as grown man as Carson Beck was. Carson Beck looked like an old man.
Carson Beck could have went pro and came back in the 7th season.
Yeah.
Bediako has literally went pro, came back to the University of Alabama. A judge ordered a restraining order against the NCAA.
Yeah.
So that he could come back, and he is eligible to play today. This kid has played in the NBA.
Yeah.
G League or not, he has still played in the NBA. So the Bediako situation isn't sitting correct with me. My issue with it, does it take away from high school athletes? Yes, it takes away from high school athletes. You're letting kids that have gone to the top of the pinnacle, that have gone pro, what used to be the goal in college athletics was to make it to the next level. Now we have guys like Charles Bediako coming back to play college ball. And guess what? He's playing today for Alabama today.
Can you blame Nate Oates, though, the coach? I mean, he's playing the card that's being dealt, right? And another question I would ask, I'm still old school with this, and I keep coming back to the term student athlete, but is he going to classes? I mean, did they like instantly enroll him? Basket weaving 101?
Here's my issue. Okay, I'll tell you what, I'm a college student. Okay.
Yeah.
I go to Calhoun.
Yeah.
Right here, local community college here in North Alabama. I know for a fact that the semester started last week, last Monday?
Yeah.
Maybe it was this past Monday. So you're telling me that this kid has just upright enrolled in classes and he's now eligible to play just like that.
Well,
no internal investigation. Does this kid have all his stuff straight?
Is this when he went in his last semester when he was there prior, when he knew he was going to go pro?
What did his GPA look like?
Yeah, a lot of these guys.
Was he set up to graduate?
A lot of these guys just ditch the classes and they go pro and they don't ever have to worry about that.
Yeah.
But now you got this player coming back in. He's going to play today. And again, I'll say this: Nate Oates, the head coach of the University of Alabama basketball team, is playing the cards that he's been dealt. He's like, he's on my team. He's on my roster. Guess what? I'm going to play him. Okay. Now, if I'm Tennessee today, that's who they're playing, right? Yeah. I like protest this game.
Well, Mark Pope has come out, Kentucky's head coach of basketball, has come out publicly to say that he doesn't think they should even be eligible for the tournament because of this situation. Now, but Pope will sit there and say he understands the competitive advantage that it provides the University of Alabama and other schools that are doing this. If they're allowing it in the NCAA, you have to use the rules how they're presenting them, okay? So to go out and grab that kid, you're doing the wrong thing, but at the same time, if you have to do it to win basketball games, you've got to go do it. Pope's going to end up doing it.
Well, I mean, that's the thing, too. I mean, as soon as Pope said that, I saw a headline where, Kentucky in a game last week, one of their main guards, I think Cam Williams, broke his foot, right? And they're already down a starting point guard. They're already down a starting center. And now Pope's looking at a guy that is finishing out his time in the G League. And there's a relationship. I think it's Jason Hart, who's the assistant coach on Kentucky.
You're talking about Dink Pate.
Dink Pate, yeah. Kentucky's looking at bringing back a guard out of the G League to join them mid-season. Okay, and then so I mean, what is the as we look at the weather? What's the snowball effect on this? What's the it's going to create chaos that like we've already seen chaos with the transfer portal, but when you start grabbing these pro players now and bringing them back into college athletics, it's going to create chaos across the board.
We discussed this, and we're going to talk a little more later about how this can affect college football, because if it's going into college basketball, it's going to affect college football. And maybe we would see Dabo Swinney coming out to talk about that as well when it comes to his sport. Or maybe it's already set that precedent, and he now has to come to the pedestal, and this is now Dabo's next presser to talk about this and how this could affect college football. Guys, we do have to take a quick break on the radio side here. 7:30 a.m., 103.9 FM, Jax Huntsville. This is the Off the Bench College Football Show. It's 7:30 a.m., 1039 FM, Jocks, Huntsville. This is the Off the Bench College Football Show. I'm your host, Kelsey. I'm Pop, sitting across the camera from me here on the YouTube side. Of course, we're on radio this morning as well. Guys, North Alabama weather is bad. Ice is falling. We can hear it here sitting live in the Andrew Share Garage Bar. There is definitely going to be a sheet of ice on the ground.
Yeah,
we've seen pictures this morning, a couple of the wrecks that have already happened. Keeping up with, of course, the lovely James Spann here in North Alabama on his Facebook feed and seeing what has happened here. And I'm sure north of us, it's even worse. I've seen the pictures, photos over there taken on the highways in Memphis. Atlanta even looks, from what I've heard, is empty right now.
Nashville.
On the interstate. Nashville as well. So, guys, be careful. We don't have the, of course, blanket of snow here in North Alabama, but the snow is going wide. I'm sure it is north. Brandon hitting us up on YouTube. -8 wind chill in Paducah, Kentucky.
Hey, it's good to know that we got listeners and watchers in Paducah, Kentucky, and also, just don't add to the direct total on 565 and research and all of those things here in Northern Alabama. I mean, I think the simple message is stay off the road. You got
exactly. Yeah. There it is. It's not looking good out there. We're going to have a couple of days, of course, of this with the snowstorm that is happening. So just be careful out there, whether in North Alabama or Paducah, Kentucky, or wherever you may reside up north of here, the roads are not going to look good. So we've been talking about, of course, the Dabo Swinney situation, him going scorched earth on college football. Brandon also hit us up on YouTube. It's crap. When did the rule change? I didn't get the memo.
Yeah, I mean, he's talking about the piece with I don't know what he's talking about.
He was actually going back to the Bediako situation.
Yeah,
he's going back to the Bediako situation. Kind of flip-flopping here this morning.
Bernie online did come back and say, obviously Dabo didn't have a great relationship with its player, or maybe it wouldn't have happened.
Well, so obviously, I mean, what has happened is so basically Coach Pete Golding texted this recruit and essentially said, I could pull up the exact quote, but I think we might have some freezing going on here on YouTube. The quote read, essentially, in my own words, what is your buyout? And when you have a head coach completely, blatantly reaching out to a player and saying, what is your buyout from another team, it's completely wrong. Yet the NCAA has not done anything about it. Now you have Dabo calling out all of college football saying, this isn't right. If this is happening in my program, it's happening everywhere else. I wouldn't stand for it. No other coach in the country should stand for it. We've accepted this and what is happening within college football. And he's trying to put his foot down and saying, in my world of college football, this isn't happening.
And, you also got the person who forever and a day, he said, I'm not going to mess with the transfer portal. He keeps his foot on the pedal for recruiting, but he also went through to open his press conference yesterday, and he was like, we did hit the portal this year. We went through and addressed our player needs. We get this player. Next thing you know, I'm getting texts from my staff saying that the player, and then Kelsey, what's the kid's name?
Bediako. That'd be Ferrelli.
Ferrelli, the linebacker at Clemson, says he's in the office and they're entering the transfer portal again, right? And then, there was conversations going on with Dabo and the agents and stuff and text and all these things that said, why is Pete Golding doing this? And the agent said, hey, that's just what Golding does. He just does what he wants to do.
My issue with this whole thing is because I understand this is going on in college football.
Yeah.
And it's a real issue in college football.
Everywhere.
You're just ignoring the issue if you're not actually seeing it happening in front of your eyes. But the biggest issue I have with this, why is Golding doing this? By this time, Golding was the head coach of Ole Miss.
Yeah.
Okay. Why is your head coach reaching out to recruit, put it on a fall guy? Why wouldn't a fall guy do this?
Not only did they have Golden reaching out.
You had Connor Stalions as a fall guy in Michigan. Why not have another fall guy here at Ole Miss?
They had players reaching out to him. Trinidad Chambers, the quarterback from the New York Giants, Jackson Dart.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, they had all of these Ole Miss players. Like, it was like an organized effort. Hey, when I'm going to send the text at 10:10, you send it at 10:11, and then we'll make a call to that guy while he's in class. That's the level of tampering that was going on.
Yeah.
And, you know, I celebrate Dabo for doing it. And I've been the one to sit there and say somebody has to be the voice for college football. You know, I naturally assumed it would be Kirby Smart, because every once in a while Kirby Smart will step up and say something really smart, right? But in this case, it's the guy that did not even want to have a transfer portal, doesn't like playing in the portal, and now he's seeing his players get tampered with. I applaud him. You know, we can sit there and say, as Bernie said, Dabo's online, Bernie, our good buddy Eric Burnett, said, hey, Dabo's a crybaby, but sad to say this is the new college football until the NCAA steps in.
So I want to hit back to what Bernie just said.
Yeah.
So is he coming off as a crybaby, though? Because there's a big difference.
I don't think so.
If there's a big difference, okay, if he is coming off like I'm putting my foot down, this isn't going to happen, or is he being perceived like a crybaby? Because if he's being perceived like a crybaby, then this is not going to change anything. Because we see it all the time in college football. Coaches want to step up and say something dramatic to try to change college football, and it never gets perceived. So if he's coming in with, I'm putting my foot down to this, then it can work. And this could put pressure on the NCAA to actually do something, or government to do something.
Yeah. Oh, I don't want the government involved in college football.
Well, I don't either. You know my opinion on that either, too. But if that is what is going to happen, that is what is going to change stuff. So, but if he's coming off as a crybaby, ain't nothing going to come out of this.
Yeah.
Bernie also hitting us up on YouTube as well. Didn't Dabo say something like, if I get fired, I'll find another job somewhere because I don't like to fish, so it's okay for coaches to jump ship, but not players? Maybe Dabo needs to be committed.
Did he jump ship? No. He's still at Clemson. He is still wearing that orange-colored jersey. He is still, in my opinion, the best Alabama football player to ever coach another program.
7:30 a.m., 103.9 FM, Jocks Huntsville. This is the Off the Bench College Football Show. We'll be right back on the other side. 7:30 a.m. 1039 FM, Jocks Huntsville. This is the Off the Bench College Football Show. We're live here this Saturday morning in the middle of a southern snowstorm that has not really hit the south. Originally supposed to. It's going more north this morning. But we've been sitting here discussing Dabo's comments on the tampering that happened with, of course, Ferrelli. At one point, his linebacker, who is now a part of the Ole Miss Rebels. But he was going after Pete Golding in the NCAA just a couple of days ago about the issues that have been happening in college football with tampering. So from what you guys are saying, you think Dabo is a crybaby in this aspect. I took it as a point of he was putting his foot down on the NCAA and it was actually being perceived correctly. But you guys disagree with me. You think this is a crybaby moment for Dabo, a guy that, you know, you think would have jumped ship if things would have gotten worse at Clemson, and now we're just sitting here saying Dabo's getting screwed over and nobody really cares.
No, 100%. I'm just glad somebody spoke up. I mean, guys, this is just the beginning, right? Hey, this we're still trying to navigate. I say we, okay? Jason is not trying to navigate the transfer portal and everything that goes with it. I'm just watching. It's entertaining for me. But imagine being in that coach's chair, okay? And it's already happened in Alabama. We signed a guy. Alabama University signed a guy with Smothers. We didn't sign him was the issue, okay? He committed to Bama in the portal. 2 days later, he's in Texas, and he commits to Texas, okay? And you don't think there was some tampering going on right there? I mean, come on. He made a trip to the University of Texas, toured their facilities, talked to their players, listen to their coaches, okay? That's definitely tampering. When the guy's committed to a program, and then you still got coaches and agents and everybody else reaching out to young student athletes. I'm going to come back to that terminology. I'm going to keep using it. I know it doesn't mean anything anymore, but this is just the beginning of what we're going to continue to see unless somebody like a Dabo Swinney, who has national name recognition, who is a national collegiate championship coach, okay? He's had a great run at Clemson, and I'm glad to see somebody finally speaking out about what's going on.
Free Doggy hitting us up on YouTube. Tuning in from Chicago. No snow, just hell frozen over.
That is my buddy Patrick, who's chiming in from Chicago.
Well, good morning, Patrick.
Yeah.
He also left a comment as well on YouTube. It's a similar story spun up by the NCAA when Notre Dame spoke up. NCAA is trying to keep the voice speaking up down. That happens a lot in college football. I think you're just speaking to the choir when you put it that way. I mean, the amount of talking that actually goes on in college football, the NCAA doesn't want you to hear it. They're going to put it down, spin on.
I don't know how the NCAA can control anything anymore. I mean, you got guys like me and you doing a Saturday morning radio show where we're talking about it. The NCAA's not trying to keep us down. ESPN's got a 24-hour news cycle. They're talking about it, okay? NCAA's not going to keep anything down. If they may try to, if against Notre Dame can be pushed down all they want. I don't care. But this is an SEC program we're talking about with Pete Golden and Ole Miss, okay? I don't want any SEC program being accused of tampering. Bama's being accused of tampering right now with that one receiver that just picked up. So, I mean, it's just a snowball effect as we sit there and listen to the ice here in northern Alabama hit the ground. Stay off the roads if you're trying to go out somewhere.
Again, so we've been talking about really the whole aspect in college basketball with the Charles Bediako situation. So this kind of ties in straight to the Dabo situation with calling Bediako a strategic advantage in college basketball. So is tampering just a strategic advantage in college football?
And there was a time and day where if you were tampering, the school would have been put on probation and not been eligible for any type of not only conference championship, but also national championship.
So you're trying to bring it back to the powers of the College Football Playoff Committee. What if they came out and said, now this is complete speculation, probably would never happen. What if they came out and said, fine, you're not eligible for the playoff if you don't stop this tampering? If you put in the safeguard, if the committee comes out and says, we don't want this in our playoff, we don't want this in our playoff, we don't want this in our playoff, they hold more cards than the NCAA.
Well, I'm with you. Make it a bylaw of the playoff committee, okay? And if there's any, but the problem is with that, okay? Here, let's say you and I, we do not like making this up. It's pure speculation. Any Notre Dame fans out there, okay? I'm a agent, and I'm representing a player at Alabama, and all of a sudden Notre Dame gets hot, okay? And I say, man, I just got contacted by the University of Notre Dame, some guy named Tom or Bill. So you would have acquisitions. Cannot talk this morning. You would have people saying that Notre Dame was tampering. Okay, yeah. So how do you manage that? Okay, is it got to be a legitimate case, or something has to be filed with the NCAA? Does the committee come back and say, you know what, if you have two claims of tampering against you, you're no longer eligible? Okay, you see where I'm going with that? It still has to be managed some way. The College Football Playoff Committee can put it in its bylaws. But what does it matter if nobody's enforcing it?
I understand. If nobody enforces it, it's just going to completely go out the window. I mean, keep doing what you're doing. Strategic advantage. That's just how it is here in college football. Richie, hitting us up. Co-host Richie on the YouTube side couldn't join us this morning, but he is here on YouTube. The reason Goldie was the one doing it is because he knows that there's nothing that is going to come back on him.
Yeah.
Well, 100%. There's nothing going to come back on anybody right now until somebody steps up and says something that's perceived the correct way. Like we said at the beginning of the show, we were looking for a Nick Saban figure that can call stuff out and do that stuff and step up. We haven't had that in college football the last couple of years. Saban's taken that back seat and jumped on game day when he's no longer in an office in Bryant-Denny Stadium. That office now belongs to Coach DeBoer, who's not stepping up and who's not saying those things. Just college football needs an anchor like that to sit there and say stuff like that. They haven't had that. The question I have for the audience, can Dabo be that figure? But I've been informed that he's just a crybaby. Crybaby Dabo.
I'm okay with somebody in South Carolina being that figure. I don't care. It doesn't have to be Saban.
It doesn't have to be Saban.
No.
It just needs a strong voice. And the question has been, will Dan Lanning ever do it? Will Ryan Day ever do it? Kirby was the biggest outlier. Will he do it? No. None of these coaches have done it. Lane Kiffin ain't going to do it. Lane Kiffin's a full embodiment of strategic advantage.
Oh, he's going to take every advantage he can. If you don't think Lane's tampering right now with that I think it's the kid from Colorado, the big defensive lineman, like 350. He's a beast, and LSU's the front runner for him right now. Seaton, I think's his name.
Yeah, Jordan Seaton.
So, I mean, if you don't think there's been tampering going on there, it happens. Right? But it's just, I don't want to say it's the new way of college football, but dang, this one hurts. I mean, it just knowing that you may think you're signing somebody and you've got the best running back, like the Hollywood Mothers, like Bama had, and then all of a sudden, whoop, tampering happens and it's off to Texas.
I heard it from, Bama Football on YouTube, Kyle Henderson, friend of the show here. We've heard him talking about this. I mean, Hollywood Smothers, that whole thing it hurt Alabama fans to a core.
Yeah.
And it really hurt college football to a core as well, because now trust issues are another big issue now in college football with fans, because when can you actually trust until that player steps on to the field in the fall in an Alabama jersey?
I don't care.
Is he ever really signed? Is he ever that letter of intent? What does it mean? These kids don't have any subjective loyalty. So what does it matter?
You know what they're loyal to?
Money.
$1 million contracts.
That's exactly it.
I want a minimum of $1.2 million to come and be your second string running back.
Your Ty Simpsons of the world are few and far between. You're not going to find too many of them.
No.
So
Ty turning down $5 million to come back and play. $6.5 million to come back and play for Miami and Ole Miss. That's crazy. And I don't think Bama would have stepped up and said, you know what, we're going to counter that. I think Bama.
There's no money to. Yeah. I mean, you can sit there and say, hey, guys, we need donations to my school. And again, I'm going to come back to the point. the Yay Alabama Foundation should have never been founded. That's not how college football works. That's not how it should have ever worked with NIL. The one person, and I'm going to go back to my NIL tangent, and then I'll jump off this real quick.
Okay.
The one person that has ever used NIL correctly in all of college athletics and did so very successfully was LSU gymnast Olivia Dunn.
And we were having this conversation the other night. I'm trying to remember, how did she use it correctly? And
social media.
Completely social media. Bandwagon?
Completely social media. All she did was bank off her social media following and turn that into money. She started using it in brand deals.
Yeah.
Turned out pretty well for her.
Yeah.
I mean, if you use this thing successfully, if you use it how it should have been successfully, we would be in a much better situation in college football and all of college athletics right now. Because now we've come to the point.
Free agency for the NFL.
Free agency completely. All right, I'm going to jump off my soapbox with that. 7:30 a.m., 103.9 FM, Jocks Huntsville. This is the Off the Bench College Football Show. We'll be right back. 7:30 a.m., 1039 FM, Jock Huntsville. This is the Off the Bench College Football Show. Over the last couple of days, the Big 12, I'm off this morning. Big 10 and the SEC have been discussing the latest on the college football playoff and seeing where we're going to go in the 2026 season. But it seems like as of right now, we're sticking with 12 for the foreseeable future the next year. They have tried to come up with a solution with this, but it seems like they're deadlocked right now. Now, there was a formidable agreement that we could move to 16 this year if there was a contingency plan put in place to move to 24 within the next couple of years. The SEC has said no to that. That's not happening. They don't want that. So as of right now, we are sticking with 12 for the next year.
Well, I mean, this is a topic that we keep trying to come back to, like on every show we ever do. Co-host Richie always brings us back to the portal and this playoff format. 12 teams, it is what it is. I don't know if the bylaws changed about the Power 5 schools and all that stuff, and I hope they did because, whether it's 12, 16, whatever that number may be, I just don't want to see another season where you have a Tulane and a JMU playing the powerhouses, and we saw what happened with that this year.
We're not going to see any switch over from next year. If this is what is put in place right now, they're going to stick with this moving forward for next year. So you could see your JMUs and Tulane of the world still in the playoff, but we have to remember this was a weird one-off year, and it happened at probably the worst possible time because it was the first year that this was put in place and how these metrics are being used on how to put teams in and what teams are being put in. You're not going to see your group of 6 schools actually be in the playoff. If you remember right, that was never thought to be possible if it was ever going to happen. It was always said that the Power 4 was going to get their schools in.
Yeah.
And the ACC kind of,
screwed that
up at the end there because only one ACC team made the playoff and eventually made the national championship. So blame your Dukes of the world, blame your Clemsons of the world, blame your Georgia Techs of the world because they were not put in over Tulane it really would have been over James Madison.
Yeah, I mean, it was, I think those rules state it was the highest ranked conference champion, and then, but the weird part about that, I mean, we saw Ole Miss and Tulane play each other earlier in the year, and you saw the outcome of that football game, right? And how the playoff committee turned around and packaged those two back together again. It just seems like something would have been done about that. Okay, we didn't want to see a repeat of a blowout, and it really was another blowout the second time they played.
No, 100% it was. So we might have some replays next year, but hopefully, if the system works how it was originally supposed to work, and you get only one group of 6 school in, then it could be we could see a different outcome. Like last year, I mean, we knew last year, and the seeding was all messed up last year. It's not how it should have ever been seeded. When Boise State made the playoff, that Boise State team was a good team. They were good enough to be in the playoff. Were they good enough to be a first-round bye team?
Mm-hmm.
No. But Ashton Jeanty, who led that team over at Boise State, was probably the best prospect going into that draft. I think he should have won the Heisman. There was a good argument that was a good team to have in the playoffs. So are there one-offs? Yes. The problem is right now you're going to see some coaching turnovers. Yeah. Your Tulanes of the world. Tulane was a good team, and they've been on the up and up the last couple of years. They've been a group of 16. Could you slot them in an ACC environment, in a Big 12 environment, and compete? Yes. But not that their head coach is going to Florida. You might see some change over there.
Bring Tulane in. Bring the JMUs in and put them in the SEC, and you put them in the Big 10. Heck, you put them in the ACC, okay, and you see what happens. And, I got a challenge to you right here. We sit there and we talked about because the SEC and the Big 10 couldn't make a decision, so we're going to stick with 12, right, versus 16, okay? And I can't believe I'm going to say this, okay? Why is the SEC and the Big 10 deciding this, okay? You saw what the SEC's performance was.
They hold the power, though.
Yeah, they not hold the power. They've got the strong-voiced commissioners. But you saw what the SEC's, their playoff record looked like this year in the bowls. I mean, the SEC was terrible. And the big surprise in all of this was the big team, those Miami Hurricanes. The U is back.
Yeah, but the AP.
But I know.
You had 7 SEC schools finish in the AP versus the
top
other
15.
programs had 3.
Yeah, you can say what you want about the playoff games. I mean, if you sit there and you think about not playoff games, but the bowl games, and it's like, oh, the SEC is getting their butt kicked against these other schools. I'm just going to say it. Half the players on the SEC's teams didn't play. I think that Tennessee game, for example, is a good case of that. It wasn't even half. It was like one starter on their defense played that game. And so, I mean, but I just sit there and say, as you look at what the ACC did, and the team that didn't even play in their conference championship turned around and played in the national championship and almost won the whole thing.
Well, you're going to have these struggles no matter what. Nobody's going to be happy with an eventual playoff of what's going to happen. I think 16 is a good middle ground for the college football playoff. And guys, let us know your thoughts on this. Should the college football playoff be moving to 16? Do you think it should stay at 12? Should we go the absolutely forbidden route and go to 24? The questions can be had. How good is this for the sport? When do we eventually get to the point of, okay, this team should have never made the playoff. They shouldn't have even had a spot for this team.
Tulane, JMU. I keep coming back to that.
You would have had your Tulanes and JMUs at 24 and at 16. So issues to be had.
There's lots of teams out there that should have been in the playoff, and you can make the argument for Texas. You can make the argument for Vandy, okay, versus the non-competitive football games that we saw. If you ask me, of all the bowl games, of all the playoff games, those were the 2 worst football games, all right? And granted, JMU did put up some points, but they were garbage points at the end of that football game. I think the question I have now, and, I keep coming back, we're in the offseason. It's episode 1 of the offseason here at Off the Bench. And, we don't hide the fact that we're Bama fans, right? Does Bama make a 12-team playoff with all the changes they've had in the offseason already?
Well, the question we had with Bama is, Bama's in a weird spot because I think DeBoer is recruiting efficiently. He's bringing in a lot of guys with experience to the table for the team. Now, a lot of talent has been lost on the Crimson Tide roster, but they filled a lot of gaps that they needed to fill. This offensive line is completely rebuilt with former SEC starters, experience all around the board. The defensive line with Devin Tompkins coming in from USC. Big addition, big pickup after the loss of James Smith.
Yeah.
Of course, Quay Russaw being lost to the linebacker for both Ohio State. So, yeah, there's a lot of pieces being lost on this Bama team, but the holes are being filled. It was a very hot end to the portal for Alabama. They finished on a strong note, but it looks like right now in the way too early top 25 rankings, it seems like we're going to come to the point of possibly being slotted into the 11 and 12 slot. Somewhere close to there. 7:30 a.m., 103.9 FM, Jocks Huntsville. This is the Off the Bench College Football Show. We'll be right back. 7:30 a.m. 103.9 FM, Jocks Huntsville. This is the Off the Bench College Football Show. We're having a little issue on the YouTube side, trying to get my camera pulled back up. I think we all got it figured out here. Winter storm happening all across the country today. North Alabama catching the tail end of it, but it does look like there's accumulation coming our way. Likely for ice.
It's all ice.
It's all ice right now. There is a tiny possibility of snow. Wouldn't call it a blanket, maybe an inch, maybe a quarter of an inch, something like that. The roads are absolutely horrible right now.
Stay off the roads in northern Alabama and southern Tennessee.
72 seems like it is impassable right now in the Madison area. The roads do not look right, but we are keeping tabs here with the beloved James Spann here in Alabama. A lot of things happening in college football right now. Even though it is the offseason, there is still things to go over, still things to talk about. A lot of the issues seems to be around, of course, with Dabo Swinney and his comments made over the last couple of days about tampering within the sport. He wants to put his foot down. From you guys, it seems like he is acting like a baby, a crybaby through this whole thing. So it doesn't look like the message is being perceived well. The college football playoff is still locked at 12 teams. We do not see any expansion coming forth for next year. This is going to be pushed down toward the end of the road, kick the can down the road, see what we can come up with for the future. If you ask me, honestly, I'm fine with staying at 12. I think we have a good system worked out. I think there needs to be a couple switches, a couple of tweaks to the system.
Yeah.
We're talking about the group of 6 teams. I think that needs to come down a little bit. But, guys, you can hit us up here on YouTube's That's Off the Bench CFB show. Watch live here with us on this very wintry Saturday morning here in January. But, yeah, hit us up right here. We can talk about whatever you want to get to on the show here. We can talk about it here. Just hit us up right here in the comment box here on YouTube.
Do you know what I think is the most confusing thing in college football right now?
What?
I'm going to come back to it. Those 2 words that I do not like. It's the transfer portal. What is it? Open? Is it closed?
So it's closed. Okay, let's go to a legality standpoint.
Yeah.
All right. Is it a legal binding window where it's open? The NCAA has essentially said, okay, this state, but nobody really. They just hope this is what's going to happen. It's not really enforced.
But no player can enter the portal right now.
Technically, no. You want to go around the block and unenroll in your classes and re-enroll at a different school, you can do that.
So, I mean.
But
yeah.
There's nothing stopping a player essentially from
transferring to another school.
Transferring.
I'm gonna, you know what? I'm not happy. I'm gonna go to the compliance office. I'm gonna see, you know what? I'm out, guys. And then a day later, you see the headlines that they've signed with the LSU Tigers or the Ohio State Buckeyes, right? And what I think the reason why I say that is because, you know, you're still hearing about players and very specific programs, and like Seton, the kid from Colorado, you know, he's still in the portal. Okay. Now, that doesn't mean he's entered the portal. He entered the portal in that time when he legalized.
You can stay in the portal as long as you want.
So now the teams are battling over the guys that are still in the portal, right?
Yeah, I mean, essentially what's going to happen is a lot of these, I think, 1,200 some odd kids that are still in the portal. A lot of them played their last football game.
Yeah.
Their last college football game, their career's over.
Yeah.
Okay, that is just the thing about the portal. Now they can drop down a level, go to the FBS or FCS ranks, and play college football and make your way back up next year. A lot of kids have done that. A lot of kids that are in this portal can, if you really want to sit here in the spring and you see an injury on your roster, they might reach out to the kid then and say, hey, do you want to come play for us and kind of switch out some stuff? It's perfectly legal, and I put that in quotations, legal, to do that. There's no issue with that. You can, as long as you were in the portal by that date, there's no time frame from where you have to jump out of the portal.
I'm just still completely surprised. There's nothing within the compliance structure within the NCAA or with these large programs that says, you know what, the kid's got to be enrolled in classes. I mean, there are rules with when you enter classes. I mean, like right now, if you wanted to go to Athens State University or Calhoun Community College, I can't just call tomorrow and start classes. The classes have already started. Those counselees and those enrolling offices, they're going to say, you know what, you got to wait till the spring semester. But I guess the rules are different when you're a 5-star or 4-star athlete and you're in the transfer portal and you're the big man on campus.
I mean, we got to remember these kids are still in classes. I think a lot of people forget that they do have to take classes. And I get there's Carson Becks of the world that graduated 2 years ago.
Class? What do you mean class?
I get that. I get that there is a standpoint of that. Okay, we've always had this situation of graduate transfers, but these kids still do have to enroll in classes, and I think people forget that John Calipari was talking about this the other day with the Charles Bediako situation, formerly of Kentucky, now with Arkansas, and he was saying, "Fine, you want to fix the portal? You have one free transfer.
That's it.
One free transfer. After that, you got to sit out a year. If your coach gets fired, cool. Okay, you're allowed to transfer. Stuff like that. Okay."
But that also creates a scenario where you don't have 25-year-old kids and 23-year-old kids.
Well, and he was discussing the Bediako situation of, he is a high school recruiter. That's what Calipari has done. He takes advantage of the one and done since it has been implemented into college basketball. So he is not a fan of getting 25, 26-year-old players to come and play for him. That's not Coach Calipari.
Yeah.
He was talking specifically, he gets joy out of coaching up these young kids and having an impact on their life. That's just Coach Calipari, as sleazy as as Kentucky fans think he is. That is Calipari's main mindset with this whole possibility.
Well, I guess Signetti, whose team averaged like 23 and a half years old, 24 years old as college football players and student athletes. I guess he's, his mentality was totally different. And I will tell you, if you look at how the portal is going and how these coaches are signing kids, man, and bringing kids in, that's the pathway. It seems like that Signetti has created this approach to his teams where he's got these older guys. And if you look at, we talked about what Bama's doing, and they're bringing in these starters on these former team on the other SEC teams, other schools, and 2-year starters, 3-year starters, and we're going to catch them their senior year. Well, those kids that are catching their senior year have already played a COVID year. They took a red shirt, so they're probably 23, 24 years old. So you're going to see some of these big schools that are really playing into the portal. You're going to see the average age of their teams go up.
Well, there has to be. We talked about putting guidelines into this, and it's really the only way to stop this, is to implement guidelines in the whole thing. But seeing how far this Bediako situation can stretch, it really across all sports. We look at baseball, we look at basketball, we look at football specifically. How far is it going to affect? How many times are we actually going to see this? And what I'm worried about is we're going to start seeing pro football players come back to college. Once they have put on a Green Bay Packer uniform, once they have put on a New York Giants uniform, that possibly get hurt, drafted, or let's say an undrafted kid who gets hurt training, hurt in the combine, okay? Signs a free agent deal.
Gets signed to the practice squad.
And then the Florida Gators hit him up and say, "Hey, we think you're the piece to our program that we're missing, we think you could really benefit from coming back to school."
You still got a year of eligibility.
You still got 1 year. I think you went out as a junior. We still got 1 year of eligibility. How about you come back and play quarterback?
Yeah, but I won't say quarterback. That'll be like a lineman, or that'll be some defensive back or linebacker that does that. I don't think you're going to see a quarterback get signed to the practice squad and go back to college.
So
it'll be a support player that does it.
Here's your argument on the other side.
Yeah.
So you have these kids that go to BYU.
Yeah.
They take mission trips. What age do they come in as freshmen?
I mean, man,
20-year-olds.
Look at Colin Chandler in Kentucky right now.
He's a sophomore, and he's 21.
I think he's 22, 23. Yeah.
So the argument on the other side is, well, those players are older. They can play college basketball until they're 24, 25 years old and still be considered a senior. Why is this an issue? Well, we're taking away from high school athletes. That's taken away from high school athletes.
I read an article where there's a guy in Miami who's getting ready to gear up for his 8th year of college football. I mean, I that was just like Carson Beck this year. We made the jokes about, he's in his 7th year. There's a guy right now that was showcased in an article, and they were talking about this whole thing about how this dude's getting ready to play his 8th year of college football.
Strategic advantage.
Okay, he redshirted. He played at JMU. He transferred. He had a COVID year. Okay, now COVID year thing is going to play itself out. Okay, that is going to, but these redshirt rules, okay, that we continue to talk about, and they keep changing the rules, and they say now they're going to allow them to play up to 8 games or something. Now, come on. Now you're going to have players, you're going to have decisions that get made every year about, hey, man, we need to make sure we take our boy out. He's already played 7 games. We want to be able to use him for an additional year. So save his eligibility. Don't play him in the next 4 games.
Guys, if you want to hit us up here on YouTube, you can do so at Off the Bench CFB Show. Or you can also, of course, like the show, follow the show, of course, turn on that notification bell, subscribe to the show, all that good stuff. You can also do the same. Keep up with all the latest on the Off the Bench College Football Show on Facebook at Off the Bench. And, of course, follow me, TikTok. Keep up with other dates as well at kelsey.huffine there. Guys, we're really leaning into the Charles Bediako situation this morning. We talked about Dabo Swinney this morning, what's going on in college football with the tampering and everything there. Another situation that we've been following the last couple of days is the Darian Mensah stuff at Duke.
Yeah.
So he entered the transfer portal, was going to Miami. Duke has now sued him.
Love it. Hold him accountable, man.
Holding him accountable for this. At the same time, what is that doing to Duke right now? Because now they're in the middle of a legal situation
with their starting quarterback.
Who wants to play for a school that just sued you?
Yeah, I mean, there's no loyalty there, right? I can't sit there and say if I'm the head coach of Duke, then I'm going to put that young man on the field for me next year, right?
Well, he has filed an emergency motion for reconsideration of the TRO.
What does that mean? I don't temporary restraining order?
Yes.
Give me a break, man. And see that talking about loyalty, right?
Temporary restraining order. It's the same thing that the Bediako situation just went down.
Yeah.
Okay. So you file this temporary restraining order. It gets accepted. He's free to transfer to Miami.
Well, I mean, it just talks about the loyalty. I mean, and it talks about the state of college football. I think if we go fast forward 10 years from now and we talk about today's current state, I think we're going to be looking at like, hey, man, you remember when they almost totally killed college football with NIL and the transfer portal? I'm glad that they brought back the days where the high school athlete and the young 19 and 20 and 21-year-old dominated the headlines of college football versus these older players, these transfer players, these guys that are chasing the money and putting the label on college football that it is the free agency of the NFL.
Oh, I mean, and that's what it's become the last couple of years. And I don't see it changing anytime soon unless you actually get some legal framework and you're saying what we can and cannot do. Because if you don't uphold the statutes, then nothing's going to happen. Nothing is going to change here in college football. So it's become a big issue in our sport. Guys, you can hit us up anywhere we're at on YouTube. Let us know where you're tuning in from here this morning. Of course, we know you guys are listening to us in Paducah, Kentucky. You guys are listening to us in Chicago, Sarasota, Florida. It's been a good morning this morning. We're going to continue on until the end of the hour here. 7:30 a.m., 103.9 FM, Jocks Huntsville. This is the Off the Bench College Football Show. 7:30 a.m., 1839 FM, Johns Huntsville. This is the Off the Bench College Football Show. I'm your host, Kelsey. Offline here. Pop sitting across the camera for me. And Richie, we have on the line co-host Richie Jones on the show here this morning. Before we get to anything of that, road closures here in North Alabama as we are monitoring the winter storm that we are catching the south end of here. Current road statuses: Green Mountain Road is closed. Banquet Parkway is closed. Memorial Parkway overpasses have been closed. Chapman Mountain on Highway 72 just past Moore's Mill Road has been closed. I-565 eastbound and westbound have been closed. Oakwood Road to Orba Drive has been closed. Greenbrier Road has been closed. Capshaw Road is closed. And then Watriana Highway between the Capshaw Road intersection and the area near Old Rural Bed have been closed as well this morning for impassable road conditions. So there's definitely been some ice accumulation here in North Alabama. Richie, how's it going this morning? Yeah, it's definitely cold out there. So you slid out of your driveway this morning and decided it's a no-go? Okay, well, it's acceptable on a day. I guess I'll accept it on a day like today with the conditions of the road. So we've just hit on the Darian Mensah situation at Duke, but earlier in the day we would talk about the Dabo Swinney situation. If I remember right, you've been saying that this is a crybaby move by Dabo Swinney and not really a putting his foot down on the NCAA. Well, I mean, I understand your point there, but for a need of a figure like Nick Saban that we've been lacking the last couple of years, you don't think Dabo has that potential to do that?
Richie, I mean, let's just be honest, though. I think the next step in this is probably some sort of lawyer, right? It's some sort of legal matter, right? But, I mean, I just look at it like this. NCAA may not be listening, but the public is listening. We're talking about it this morning. ESPN is talking about it this morning. Every college football show in America YouTube channel is talking about what Dabo had to say in his press conference this morning. And so they might not be listening now, but I would have to argue that the NCAA is going to have to start listening, or they're going to lose the audience that is college football fanatics. Hey, Richie, this is where I got to disagree with you. I want U.S. Congress involved in it about as much as I want politicians at football games, right? I mean, why get the government involved in college football or college basketball? Okay, you've got playoff committees that are out there. You've got a governing organization as the NCAA. Let those guys step up and do their jobs. Don't get Tommy Tuberville involved. Don't get all of these guys involved. Okay, yeah. Well, let's talk about the new rules, Richie. Why don't you explain to that listener audience here in Northern Alabama?
So you're talking about with the Notre Dame MOU, or yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So there was a rule change in that. I did miss that this morning. I didn't think so. I thought the understanding was that staying at 12 teams for the next year also meant that there'd be no changes toward anything with college football playoff. So they have come to an agreement on that. Well, and my whole thing with the MOU with Notre Dame is, I had thought we were moving toward a situation with the 16 teams that was 100% going to happen. I figured it was okay. Let's just keep Notre Dame happy and keep them from spewing out over this. But I guess that's not the case if we're staying at 12. So they really plan to say, okay, fair enough. We'll give Notre Dame special treatment for this.
Well, I mean, so is the rule that if Notre Dame's in the top 12, they automatically get a bid in the MOU?
Yes, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Eli, hit us up on YouTube. Why the heck does Notre Dame get so much special treatment when all they do is play a cupcake schedule and whine when they don't get their way? I've said this in the past about Notre Dame. I think Notre Dame strategically sets their schedule up because they know they're not going to get the physicality and the big boys of the SEC football and really at a point Big Ten football at the top end. I don't think they have been able to produce that. And I think they've always kind of set their schedule up specifically for the chance of getting into a situation where they're playing in a playoff game or, of course, back in the BCS era, where they're playing in a national championship. I mean, they've been exposed before. They'll be exposed again. So the MOU to me doesn't mean much. I don't see a physical Notre Dame team that's going to hold up to the standard of an Alabama team or a Miami team, Georgia team, etc. I think that Notre Dame, to a point, is going to get to where they want to be and accept that that's their losing point in the season.
Well, we talked about this till we're blue in the face, Kelsey, with Notre Dame. I mean, I don't want to take anything away from their schedule and what they did this year. They were playing damn good football at the end of the year, okay? But let's back this up. Okay, when that decision was made before Notre Dame became the ultimate crybaby of college football, you had a bunch of two-loss teams. Bama was there. They were a two-loss team before they played the SEC championship, okay? And Notre Dame didn't have to play any type of championship game because they like to keep themselves independent. And then same thing with Miami, okay? I mean, but when you take that head-to-head and you come back to it, okay, I mean, we've talked about this and talked about this.
Well, week one doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah.
Week one doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's Florida State loss didn't matter for Alabama. A lot of things in week one aren't really considered really when it comes to the college football playoff committee. I think that's open about that completely.
Yeah.
So 7:30.
Go ahead, Rich.
Eli hitting us up on YouTube again. If they were in the ACC last season, they would have been in. Get off your high horse and join a conference and quit whining.
Follow the money, Eli. Notre Dame is never going to.
They have no reason to.
Yeah.
It's, if you're in the playoff as an independent school, you get all the money that the conference was supposed to get. So, again, we talk about strategic advantages this morning. Notre Dame has a big strategic advantage here. Looks like we're going to get some snow soon here in Huntsville. Might be a light accumulation from the notifications that I'm getting here, but the ice is still horrible here in North Alabama. And, of course, to our viewers to the north, I'm sure you have ice and snow blanketing the roads in a lot of areas. I know Memphis this morning, even Atlanta right now, the highways are cleared. Nashville, I'm sure, getting a lot of it too. And we are really sitting below a ice-covered North Alabama here, right here in Huntsville. 7:30 a.m., 103.9 FM, Jocks Huntsville. This is the Off the Bench College Football Show. 7:30 a.m. morning through 9 FM, Jocks Huntsville. This is the Off the Bench College Football Show. We're live here in North Alabama under a snowy, or really an icy, blanketed road network here. Guys, just want to go for a minute here. Stay off the roads. It looks bad. It's looking pretty bad out there. No reason to go out there unless it's absolutely needed. But the roads right now do look like a lot of them are impassable and they're closed for a reason. So there's no reason to go out there, risk your life or anything like that.
All right, back to Richie. Hey, Richie, quick question for you, man. All right, you were a student in Alabama, okay, diehard football, basketball fan. What's your current take on the whole
Charles Bediako situation?
Yeah, that situation.
That's initially what could happen. I mean, there's no safeguards in it. All you got to do is say, hey, I'm coming back. And nobody's going to do a thing about it. I mean, if LeBron really wanted to take that.
Could you imagine being a point guard at making it up Illinois next year, right? And all of a sudden you're across the court and hey, who am I matched up with? Oh, LeBron.
Well, the issue is, you have all these, quote, alumni team that play. I know Kentucky, the La Familia team. If I could speak this morning, La Familia team for Kentucky that was started by Coach Calipari. It's an alumni team for the University of Kentucky, and there's other schools that have them as well, and they play their tournaments. I think every offseason or so, or maybe every couple of years. But what happens if you have guys like Khalil Whitney is a great example. Khalil Whitney was actually, this was discussed, I think, early this last offseason for college basketball. Whitney came to the University of Kentucky and was a freshman and then left the team halfway through the year to prepare for the draft. He was in a bad headspace, wrong thing, wrong time. He prepared for the draft, didn't get drafted. I think he was eventually signed overseas. Came back and has played for the La Familia team. And the question was going to be, could this guy actually join Kentucky again? And the question to be answered is, yeah. If Bediako did it, why couldn't he do it?
Yeah.
I think Whitney's around 21, 22 years old.
Yeah.
He is still young enough. I mean, he came out as a freshman. He was a 5-star, all this great stuff. But, the legality standpoint is if he really wanted to go that route and explore college basketball again, he doesn't got to go to the alumni team. He can go straight and play for the Kentucky Wildcats.
Yeah, he could be wearing those blue colors, right? And Kentucky's already exploring that Dink guy.
Dink Pate.
Yeah, I mean, so it's going to be a snowball effect. Other teams are going to look at it. It's going to trickle into college football. It's going to trickle into, I don't know if it'll trickle into cheerleading. I don't know if there is a professional, I guess the professional, I don't know what they get paid. But my point is that it's going to affect all of college athletics. And you just got to, you want to play that game? Okay, cool, play it. And I don't blame Nate Oates for starting this guy today against Tennessee for Alabama. But, okay, he's just playing the card that he's being dealt. I think 24 is a good number. I mean, this is kind of echoing what Kalahari laid out in his press conference last week. I think it was. Yeah.
But the question marks we had is: so do we just get rid of rewrite the eligibility rules completely? Does it need to be? We need to stop referring to freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, redshirt, senior. Is that what needs to happen? And we just need to straight up put an age limit with your eligibility rules. If you are past the age of 23, 24 years old, whichever one you want to put in there, then you are no longer eligible to play college football or college basketball.
Well, if you think about the freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, that's all references to old student athlete terms, all right? I mean, is that really even a thing anymore, right? Could you imagine, though, like Richie's references to, Little League ball games? I remember one time I was watching my little brother play baseball, and my little brother stood a foot above everybody else, right? And the parents of the team would scream before every game, okay, show his birth certificate, show his birth certificate. Could you imagine showing up? Okay, you're on the sideline of Alabama football game, right? You got a freshman out there, an 18-year-old player. Let's not use the student term athletes anymore. He shows up. He's a foot taller than everybody else. And the other coaches said, hey, everybody got their birth certificates on them. We'll just make sure that everybody's here of legal status.
Well, you remember Thon Maker?
Thon Maker. Well, nobody knew how old that dude was.
Thon Maker came in, and he did commit to play college basketball somewhere, and I don't think he was allowed to play.
I thought he was coming to Kentucky
at one point he was. And then Thon Maker was in the draft. And the whole question mark around him was nobody knew how old he was. And they didn't know when he was going to get drafted because this kid could have been 17. He could have been 18. He could have been 25. They didn't know. And it turns out he was an older player.
Yeah, I mean, Enos Cantor was the same thing in Kentucky. Everybody questioned how old he was from where he came. He was a European-based player out of Turkey or something like that.
Yeah, he was.
Right? And I think you're going to get that question always with these foreign players that come into the United States that are trying to play at the collegiate level.
7:30 a.m., 1839 FM, Jocks, Huntsville. This is the Off the Bench College Football Show. Guys, remember, stay off the roads. It's not looking good in North Alabama. The roads are covered in ice. There's no reason to go out there and risk anything or put others in harm's way either. Guys, if you want to leave of course, like the show, leave some comments here. We'll get back to you real quickly here. But subscribe to the channel as well if you want to keep up, if I can speak today. If you want to keep up to date on all things Off the Bench, follow us on Facebook as well at Off the Bench CFB Show. Turn on that notification bell to let you know when we go live here. Guys, we got to take a quick break here, and we'll be right back. 7:30 a.m., 1839 FM, Jocks Huntsville. This is the Off the Bench College Football Show. We are here in a ice-soaked North Alabama here live in the Andrew Shared Garage Bar. Back to get off the show here, guys. It's been a great show this Saturday morning. Of course, you catch us here again on Wednesday, of course, at 7 p.m. for our midweek update, Central Time.
On YouTube.
On YouTube as well. We continue this conversation really about Charles Bediako and what needs to happen so this really isn't in our sport, because this is, if we don't hit on it now, it's going to become even bigger of an issue. And Dabo Swinney trying to play the voice of reason in college football, but is coming through as a crybaby for a lot of the audience members here today. And I didn't perceive it that way. I felt like he was putting his foot down, but I guess I've been proven wrong elsewhere. I feel like a lot of people have said that this is not going to work, and this is just words without anything behind it. But back to the Bediako situation. So, we are presenting rules of possibly making it to where it's just an age system now, where you can get aged out of college football, college basketball, and collegiate athletics. But Richie said something during the break that's actually correct. Charles Bediako, even if that were to have been implemented, rather than following the general freshman, sophomore, junior, senior scenario here, he would still be within the age limit to be able to play college basketball. The other question I have is, what is Bediako classified now? Is he a senior? Is he a junior? I don't remember his eligibility when he left.
I have no clue. And I got to imagine they would mark him as a senior. He has 1 year of eligibility left, or what's left of this season. I don't know if that's the case or not. But, let's look at it from the athlete's perspective, right? Yeah. Can you blame him, right? He's playing G League. He'd probably come to Alabama, make more money on the NIL side, have a guaranteed contract. Okay, he's getting paid. He's back on the campus. He's a big man. He's a big man on campus this week in Alabama, at least, right? And he's got a chance to make a title run with Alabama. He's got a dang good basketball team.
So some other breaking news that we saw this morning. This came out last night. We have not got a chance to discuss it today. Alabama has parted ways with offensive line coach Chris Kaplovich. We kind of saw this coming with Alabama, with a lot of screams for this to happen among Alabama fans. A lot of people want to see a Saban figure in that role, meaning a former Saban coach, someone like Sam Pittman. Or Charles Huff. Charles Huff, former offensive line coach for Kalen DeBoer at Washington during their national championship run.
He's the current coach, tight ends coach on the Seattle Seahawks.
Richie, how much do you think this changes? Does this change anything with the recruiting aspect? Does this make the offensive line stronger? Is this a weakness and a point of Alabama while they're trying to rebuild the offensive line core there?
Especially when you had the names of Proctor and Brailsford. You had centers in your left tackle who were like preseason All-Americans, and Bama's averaging like less than 3 yards a run. And that's got to change. That starts with coaching. That starts with preparing your players, and that's what the coaches do.
That's 100% right. I think this is a good change for Alabama. The one problem I've heard about it is Kaplovich was recruiting a lot for Alabama.
Yeah, he's been on the road.
So it's kind of a question mark. He's been the ones flying in on the helicopters with Coach DeBoer and still putting down that Bama flag there. But, that may be a huge loss in the recruiting aspect in the short term of what could be happening. Chris Kaplovich was been a big part of that for the last couple of weeks on the road, trying to get things like that done. So the question mark I have about it is does this hurt recruiting in the end? And, Kaplovich, the instability that it's creating temporarily right now, is it worth it in the long run if we go out there and get a Sam Pittman or a Charles Huff?
I think so. I mean, when you love to have Pittman's intensity.
Yeah. I mean, I would love to have Pittman's intensity, and people forget. I mean, he was a great offensive line coach for the University of Alabama just a couple of years ago under Nick Saban. So, it's a big loss for Alabama, but in the end, I think in the long term, this should be good for it. Guys, thanks for tuning in today. Of course, stay safe out there on the roads. It's icy out there. Maybe get some snow later. That'll be fun for the kids to go play outside in the snow. But a lot of things happening in college football right now. Remember, you can catch us here Wednesday, 7:00 p.m. here live in the Angel Show Garage Bar for episode 2 of the offseason here and on Off the Bench. And, of course, next Saturday, catch us here live on the radio here for episode 3 of the offseason. So we move right along, a little bit of rebranding for the show here going towards the offseason. If you've been watching on the YouTube side, you can see our little new mascot there. That's Astro the astronaut. Real proud of that one.
It's going to catch me a little bit. Take me a few minutes to catch on to that, Kels. But and please, guys, if you have comments about how the show looks this morning, Kels over here has worked his tail off to get us going on those pieces on the YouTube side. And if there's stuff you want us to talk about, right, especially in the off season for college football, please drop us a note on the socials, in the comments, whatever it might be.
Guys, get us up at Facebook at Off the Bench there. And, of course, right here at Off the Bench CFB show on YouTube. There's still a lot of things to go. Of course, Kyle Whittingham signing his contract with Michigan. Those details have been released. Again, it is a heavy contract situation load if a buyout were to take place. A lot of money were to go to Kyle Whittingham. I think 75% of the contract is guaranteed.
Wow. As old as he is? Sorry, nothing wrong with old guys.
No, as old as he is as a college football coach, it's surprising to the aspect of guaranteed money going toward his way. I didn't really think that would be the case with Whittingham over there. I thought it would be a very friendly contract for Michigan rather than a friendly contract with Michigan. With Kyle Whittingham. So big surprises coming over there. We're going to continue to follow the situation. When we get to the 12-team college football playoff, the question mark still lies there if we move to 16 in the years to come, or maybe even the forbidden 24 that the Big Ten has proposed. Darian Mensah, of course, keeping up to date. See if he will eventually get to transfer to the University of Miami to really, put the finishing touches on a roster next year for a quarterback situation. That is looking kind of bleak without Carson Beck. So will that, of course, motion to move up the court date and put in I forget the word on it now.
Miami should just back him. I mean, if Duke wants to turn around and see the quarterback, okay, Miami should be playing all of his legal expenses, everything else. They should just put it behind him.
7:30 a.m., 103.9 FM. Jocks Huntsville. This has been the Off the Bench College Football Show. We were over on commercial, guys. I could already hear it. We'll go see you guys on Wednesday night.